That was from great compliment.
All right, we are officially live streaming, so whenever.
Very nice. Thank you very much, Holly. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5:34 p.m. And Jacinta, if you would be so kind as to call the roll.
Dr. Glenn?
Yeah.
Mr. Hannah?
Here.
Ms. Cummings?
Here.
Mr. Mitchell?
I'm here.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much, Jacinta. Item 3 is the approval of today's agenda, which is short, sweet, and if I could get
I'll make a motion.
Very
to approve the
nice.
agenda.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion from Dr. Glenn and a second from Superintendent Hannah. And without objection, show the agenda approved. Ms. Clay, do we have any public comment?
No public comment.
Seeing no public comment and no one is on the phone, we will move to the item 5, which is an overview of the financial audit requirements for the CSC. And I think I want to turn it over to you, Sarah.
Absolutely. So good afternoon, everyone. This will be short and sweet as required by section 218.391. All CSCs are required to have a financial audit at the end of the fiscal year, which for us, of course, ends every September 30. We have 9 months to get that completed and turned in. Through advice of our general counsel, after speaking with a representative of OAG, the Office of Auditor General, our audit will encompass 2 parts. So we will have a part that does the audit for our first fiscal year, which was 2021, be about 5 months, and then our second fiscal year, which is 21-22. So the RFP that we see here will be to secure and get those auditing services. If you remember at our last council meeting, we thought we could just go off the state contract, but our general counsel advised that according to statute, we must procure for those services. And then after speaking with Chair Mitchell, more than likely, we expect that you all will approve a 1-year contract with an optional renewal. So at least initially, we're going to be going out probably every 2 years. So that's really the overview. Everything that the audit must cover is detailed there in statute and is contained within this RFP.
Thank you. And one thing, just for everyone's information, when SECA says that we will, look, I like avoiding procurements at all costs, but best practices when it comes to hiring an audit firm is changing your audit firm. And its best practice is either every other 2 years or every other 3 years. You obviously don't want the same auditor in time after time after time, finding no problems. So it's good to switch it up in terms of best practices. With this one, we will essentially have, they will be doing an audit for 2 financial years at once, albeit one of those financial years is just 4 months, 5 months of the year. And so I don't know how the procurement document looks. I don't think it would be a bad idea in terms of being able to, I think we'll get a better price if we go out for, we specify which ones of the years that we want, which would be 2020, 21, 2020, did I mess that up?
No.
2021, 22, which is what we're just saying, and 22, 23. So we would essentially be doing a 3-year contract, although it's really a 2.5-year audit. So, so again, it's the preference of the committee, but I do think it's not a bad idea because I think we'll get a little better price. Not that audits are financial audits are that expensive, but we might get a better price by offering it up for
3 years.
yeah, as opposed to us coming back and saying, let's extend it another year. So my recommendation is we do 2.5 years, but it could be 1.5 with the 1-year option or just 2.5.
So if I might, Chair Mitchell, so the way that we formulated the RFP was to split the 2 years up. So we want to get that 2021 year sooner. We expect that it will not take long because there really were not any revenues. It was loan monies from Leon County. Get that as soon as possible. And I think in here, the timeline says to get that in March because we would engage on February 1st. And then they have the period to do the 21-22 audit. We would get that in May. That would be presented to this committee for review in draft form. We will probably have the selected auditor come. They would do all of that. If there were any changes, we would get that done and then present it to the full council once they approve it, which is gonna be the third Thursday, so we're okay in May, June, and then we'll get that turned in as required by the Auditor General.
Did anyone look at, for that first year, I believe because we didn't even use the 400,000, I think the total revenue was somewhere around 200,000. I don't know what the magic number is for a desk audit, but you can perform a desk audit, which is significantly less expensive than a full-fledged financial audit.
So I have been in communication with DEO
Okay,
for, I know, at least 2 months, maybe 3.
right.
We were originally told that we would not have to have an audit for 2021 because we would not really have revenue. And at the end of that 2021 year, we had money in the bank, $60,000. So we did not even take the whole amount that Leon County said that we could use. We only took 150,000. So after we paid for the interim director, paid for our contractor, we ended up with right at 60. So according to the paperwork, if you were between 50 and 100,000, you would not have to do an audit, but you had to submit the previous year's audit, which we would not have. So we've been going around and around. We have finally landed at, we will have to have the audit done for that time to be in compliance with the statute. And so after speaking with Fred Springer at our general counsel's office, he is going to write a letter so that DEO knows what our plan is, they understand, present to them the information where the person, and I'm trying to think if we put the email in here, I don't think we put it in here, but we have the email where the representative from the Auditor General's office told us, and his or her name is in there, that we didn't have to do it, but they are insisting that we do.
So I guess my point is not
So a desk
whether it's
audit.
an audit, the desk audit qualifies as an audit. There's a threshold number by which a desk audit can be performed. And it is an audit, it qualifies as an audit, it's just less expensive. And maybe what we do is we let the folks who are responding tell us what we need.
Okay.
I mean, that is what auditors do. But there are a lot of, the Juvenile Justice Foundation, they do a full-fledged financial audit. I think it's once every 3 years, and they do a desk audit the other 2 years, and it meets the statutory requirements. So it's cheaper.
So we can definitely add that in the RFP.
Yeah, double
and they can
check
tell-
that we qualify.
Okay,
That's it. That was my only question. I just don't know what that threshold is.
all right.
Is there a cycle, or Juvenile Services Councils or organizations like this on a cycle when the Auditor General comes in, or not?
No,
So like
there,
the Auditor General comes every 3 years for us. We had 2 years with an independent auditor company that we hired, we procure, and then every third year, the Auditor General comes in and performs the audit.
the statute does not say that there is any time frame or table for the Auditor General to come in.
Okay.
So according to statute, we are just required to procure services for a certified public accountant
Right.
firm to do the financial audit each year.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes, sir.
Just want to make sure, I keep looking up and I don't know if it's hard for me to tell if you've got a question or a comment. I just want to make sure.
No, I've just been taking in the information. Thank you for the information that you provided and for the executive director as well.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
it clears up some questions that I had without even asking. So I appreciate it.
All righty.
Awesome.
So, so we, do we have a draft of the procurement that you guys were,
So what we've included is the request for proposals. We did not include all of the rudimentary things that we put in our RFP, but rather this is the substance.
right?
So you'll see here, it's for auditing services. Section 1, it's the introduction and breaks down what we are procuring services for the firm to perform. This gives the process under Section 2, questions and answers. Then we turn over to page 6, which is page 2 of the RFP, talks about the timeline of events there, how we respond in the submittal. We are asking for bound copies as well because we will do the public opening. Section 3 is the response and format and contents. And so our cover letter with the detail, the experience, the pricing. So let's look at Section 4, the evaluation of responses. So staff went back and forth trying to determine how to break out the evaluation categories and what that total scoring should be. In this case, and again, this will be the first time I have actually procured auditing services. In my brief experience, the pricing is the more important piece because everything that they do is stipulated
Yes.
in statute. So we were thinking we would make the pricing way heavier. So if you remember in the last several RFPs we've done, we pulled pricing out because we may want to go with a firm that gives us more. In this case, because all of them would literally be doing the same thing, the prices of particular interest. So didn't wanted to bring that up to see if there was any conversation or discussion that you guys wanted to have, if you felt like we needed to break the evaluation categories down a little bit more. So that would be the only place that I think we would want to see if you have any
Well, look, I'm,
opinion.
again, I'm normally not, I think you, oftentimes you get what you pay for. In this case, I think weighting it heavy on the pricing is a good idea because you're either a qualified auditor or you're not. If you're not, your bid will be rejected. So we're essentially looking at whether or not you want, a Chevy Tahoe or a GMC Yukon. It's, do you want a bow tie or the GMC, logo? That's really what, underneath the hood, it's the same thing. So when
So,
it comes to audit. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, so as far as the pricing, we're not giving any parameters. If we're assuming that qualified experienced state auditors, have done this many times, and then they will pretty much have a gauge on the pricing. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, ma'am. And really a financial audit is a CPA. That's really what a financial audit is. So it just can't be our CPA, the CPA that we have under contract.
Right. Okay.
So was the RFP not then, to Mr. Mitchell's point, going to include the 22-23 fiscal year?
Well, we don't have a copy of the contract. We can do it that way. We can add that year in, or when we do the contract, we can just do a 1-year optional renewal.
But I would rather put it in the RFP. And the reason is because I think if you're going to get it 3 years in a row, you might, you might trim 5,000 off each one of the years. And again, every penny we can save is money that can go to a program that needs it.
So then on page 9, we would strike that last sentence where it says the contract is eligible for annual renewal.
Absolutely.
And we'll just add in.
And we're gonna add on page 1 of the RFP where we have the 1, financial and compliant, 2, that's for the second year, we'll add the third year there.
Right. And it would be my recommendation kind of on a going forward basis that we, with the next RFP that goes out 2 years from now, that we do it for a 3 year.
3 years,
Yeah.
got it.
3 years, okay.
Yeah, because that's essentially what they're doing in this case. It's 2.5, but it's third year that they're
Okay.
actually auditing.
Sounds good.
So this one is just for 2 years then, right? The first 2 years of the program?
Well-
It's 2 years and it's 2.5 years. So it's technically, Commissioner, 3 full years. Just the first one, as you remember, we didn't spend anything other
Right,
than,
right.
Ted Granger.
Right,
So we'll
right.
add that.
Okay.
Right. So we'll go in and make that consistent.
And again, best practices is changing your auditor. Some people say 3 years, some people say 2 years. There are some people who stretch it to 4 years, but best practices is seen in that range. So we will be in that, we'll be comfortable there.
Right.
May I ask a question?
Okay.
This just popped into my mind. Is it helpful when we're doing the procurement, since we haven't currently anywhere referenced our budget, but giving the auditor an indication of our income outcome?
The
not-
income, the total
The income.
income.
Okay, so we'll
So
need
we,
to update
yeah,
that.
we'll do
in the
that,
back.
update that for year 1, year 2, and we can approximate.
Yeah, and by the way, just, I mean, that's, you're doing a little bit of their work for them, but, if you're bidding on things, as somebody who puts together bids, you
You
do
would look
that,
at that.
yeah.
It's all publicly there.
Yeah.
It's-
So that'll end up coming in under the section 1 in the background. So what basically led to the publication of that, that's where it'll be found. And if you, per staff recommend, per your
That's fine.
direction, if we want to include the budget. Okay.
One quick question. So I'm looking at the evaluation. You just brought my attention to this.
Mhm.
So who is evaluating it? Who's
Who's
soliciting?
Because I have cheat notes here, and one of the things that we need to discuss is how the evaluation panel will be formed. So the thing that I neglected to say in the overview is, just for the record, that the council voted to have the Finance and Budget Committee serve as the audit committee. Because in statute, we are required to appoint an audit committee, so we did that as well. So that was our question as far as the respondents. So there are a couple of options. Staff could review them since they're straightforward. And the staff, by staff, we mean 1, 2, 3. By the time these come in, we will have a 4th staff member there. And then if we need 5, we do have our contractor. We could leave that to you all, the 4 committee members. We could find a couple of people so we could set it up any kind of way. In my mind, this is a pretty straightforward one. So I think wherever you land would be okay. Mhm.
So, Dr. Glenn, here's my suggestion. My suggestion, especially because it's audit and it's a financial audit, that we not have the staff. They're essentially auditing what you're spending. So I don't think it's a good idea. They're also auditing kind of what we do.
Mhm.
So I don't think it would be a bad idea to reach out to Paul Whitfield, who heads up the Division of Accounting and Auditing at the Department of Financial Services. He's a former deputy CFO under CFO Atwater and a current division director, and asking him if he would sit on the evaluation committee. There's probably someone at DMS that would be, and just come up with 3 local people. Maybe there's an accountant from an accounting firm that has no plans on bidding on it, that would look at the 3, tell us, again, these are all people who know the qualifications, and then, yes, it will take about 15 minutes to score it and go from there.
I agree. I completely agree, because my concern was, I don't know what I'm looking at, what is required in statute for an audit. So I want someone who has a clue as to whether or not what they're saying is truly what's in line with the law. So it may not take long if you know what you're doing.
Right.
And I want to make sure it's somebody who knows what they're doing. So I like the idea of finding someone. I do think I'd like to recommend Paul, like someone on our committee who knows what they're doing as it relates to this, to be a part of that too. And that would help me feel like we kind of have a clue as to what they're saying and to make sure the evaluation is appropriate.
So
Mr. Chair, could we use the accountant that we hired as an independent contractor to the council?
no, ma'am, because they're
Probably
they're-
not. That'd be
they're-
conflict.
Yeah, they're auditing his work and the work of
Oh,
staff.
that's right. I'm sorry. Yep, you're right.
So if you guys will give me I'll come up with, again, somebody from the Division of Accounting and Auditing. The state does not audit, so they don't pay our bills, so Paul will not have a conflict or somebody on his staff. Again, it would take me a minute to think of somebody at DMS, and then, then if somebody knows of a local accountant who does not plan on bidding on this, I think the only reason I'm taking myself off of it is because as the treasurer, I see the financial statement, and it's, the whole idea of an audit is as far removed,
Okay.
you would be better serving on that evaluation committee than I would.
Okay, I understand. All right, then that's fine. I'm fine with your recommendations, whoever we can bring forward, but I'm worried that, I mean, if I was asked to do it, I would be concerned about, I don't know what I am evaluating. And I'm being honest with you, I at least want a clue. And I do think that whoever is evaluating shouldn't be you guys, because that does put you all at risk of,
I agree,
Yeah,
but
so
but
let's
just
keep it
wanted
clean, yeah.
to give all possible.
sure, yeah.
You
options.
mentioned something about an audit committee. By statute, we have to establish an audit committee.
By statute, you have to appoint an audit
Right.
committee.
And so with us, the audit committee, the chair of the audit committee has to be the chair of the school board. So whoever the chair of the board is has to be the chair of the audit committee. And then the audit committee membership is made up of appointees by me and by school board members. Is it the same way, do we appoint someone, a layperson to this committee, or how is
No,
it?
it is, you can do it however you want. And we as a board decided that the Finance and Budget Committee would be the same as the audit.
Would
committee.
serve
That's
as the
allowed.
audit committee.
Yes,
Right.
That's fine. Okay.
And
We've
that
already done
keeps
it.
us compliant with the statute.
Okay. All right.
So we will, consensus, we will reach out to Paul Whitfield, DMS, and find another. We would like to at least email and present them to you, just so that that's good. Then, of course, we will also bring that in front of the full committee just for ratification. So we'll create a recommendation.
The other thing, and I'm incredibly sensitive to this because this is our community, and I always think that it is a good idea. Look, the makeup of this board is dictated by statute that the governor has to do everything he can to make the board diverse. I think that we should, every time we have an opportunity to look for diversity, we should. So of the three, I do hope, I'm not sort of mandating this, but I do hope that it's, that we find a member of the African American community, a female. I just want to make sure there's diversity.
Yeah.
We're not required to, but I think it's important.
Yeah, it goes to looking at everything with an equity lens.
Right, and they're evaluating what they're looking at, so it's not a whole bunch of white men picking a whole bunch of white men. Not that there's anything wrong with white men, but yeah.
There absolutely not.
No, I
understand exactly what you're saying,
Yeah, I don't have much of a choice.
I know.
In the summertime, I do my best.
All right, so we do have a few changes that we're gonna make to the RFP.
Okay.
If you will allow, instead of you trying to come up with a recommendation here, we can make those changes, come up with that recommendation. We will email it out to you. It's a public record, but we'll email it out. If you have any questions, email me back separately. But it's just gonna be really simple and straightforward. We recommend that the council adopt the presented RFP for auditing services, along with allowing staff to find the people to serve on the eval committee.
And we're presenting this to the full board this month?
Yes, we will be presenting this on October 20th. If they approve, then we actually post it the 21st.
Awesome.
If I may?
Yeah.
I think that our timeline actually has it presenting to the council
that's
for
right. We
review
don't vote.
and not
That's
posting
right.
until November.
I'm off.
Sorry, I
We're
just
gonna
wanted to make
present
sure.
it for review on the 20th. You're right, Holly.
Okay.
Thank you. And then the council has a chance to take it for 30 days, and then we will
Okay.
approve it in November. I'm ahead of myself,
No,
I'm
no
sorry.
worries, that's fine.
Yeah, we'll approve it in November and then issue it right after it's approved,
Okay.
because January is when we'll review. I'm sorry, I've seen so
That's
many
good. Yeah,
timelines
no,
today. So that we go to contract on February.
That's where we're moving into our new offices.
When are we moving into our new office?
Are we
It's funny,
finished? Are we finished?
Actually, I don't know how we're, after this, I don't know how we can, do we have a big?
Are we finished with item
No.
number?
We have a coffee.
No, we do have a coffee machine at the new
So-
place.
So I would like to defer.
So bad.
So I would like to defer
I'll
to our
provide some
administrative services manager, Jacinta Clay, on that, to give us a quick update.
So are we done with the RFP?
We are done
Okay,
with the
all right, just
RFP.
making sure. All right,
Yes,
thank you.
we are
So a
done with.
quick update on the building. They're making the finishes on it. We want furniture in there until November. So we're looking at a tentative move-in date will be December.
Good enough.
December.
But there will be, I mean, there will be electricity, paint, carpet,
all that is.
all in November for a soft open house if we wanted to do it for,
We'd be in there with nothing else.
We'll talk about this. We'll talk about this soft
Yeah,
opening.
which- so-
We'll have it.
So I presented it to Jacinta, and Jacinta said she would talk with you about it.
very
She
good.
took it out of my
Have
hand.
another cup of coffee. All
And
right.
so with that, Mr. Chair, we're on to the next meeting date.
Wait, can we do public comment?
Oh, we don't have it, well,
Yeah,
public
no,
comment?
Once again,
Yes.
Ms. Clay, do we have any member of the public who would like to comment?
There is no public comment.
Very nice. And no one is on the line?
No.
Therefore, we are now on to, we need to take a vote on the approval of the committee recommendation. Could I get a motion?
I will make a
I
motion.
move, I move approval. I move approval.
Thank you, Commissioner.
With the amendments that were
With
suggested,
the
right?
amendments
Okay.
that are
And I will
suggested.
second that.
And we have a motion from Commissioner Cummings and a second from Dr. Glenn. And without objection, it is approved.
Very good.
Thank you.
Sika, the next meeting date.
The next meeting date, we don't have one right now.
Very good.
So I think we might make it through the end of the year before we need another.
Which
Okay.
means that item 8 of the next meeting agenda will be left as a to be determined as
To be
well.
determined.
Are there any comments from members of the
I have a
committee?
quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
So will our December meeting happen in your building? That's what I'm just trying to figure out. Will it be
No, in our
furnished in
building.
time? Our building, right, thank you.
The December meeting will be in our new space.
Can't wait. Okay.
No, the December meeting
It will be,
in our
okay.
new space. It will be in our new
Like
space.
that.
Oh, yes, it will be.
Okay.
It will be.
All right.
It
I
will
just
be.
wanted-
And with that, if I may, you should have gotten 2 meeting invites from Jacinta, one for November. You should already have October, one for November, one for December.
Right.
Starting in January, you will get a full year because we will know where the meetings will be.
That's right, okay,
So-
awesome.
We
And,
don't have that.
Yeah.
and we are going to be sensitive to the fact that spring break for that
Absolutely.
month of March, I remember we had to change it.
We'll augment. that.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure we do that.
So we will augment that at the beginning of the year as well.
So what was the December date again? It's the 15th.
Yes. So yeah, that would be the March date would then move to the 23rd.
Right, and you might also just kind of do a quick poll, like I know you all, the Superintendent's Association has an annual meeting that it's kind of a must-do for you. So that, the same thing with the Florida Association of County Commissioners. I just want to be sensitive to everybody's calendar. I'm a Tallahassee guy, so I'm good whenever, but
I can do a count.
Avoided them, we
We'll-
do
we'll-
try to pull them all.
Yeah, we'll do that.
okay.
Because the other thing we want to try to do as well is our calendar that's online, which after we get in the office, the website will be the next thing we deal with. We want to have all those important dates on there, just for everyone to see as well. That'll help us make sure.
Great.
We're choosing.
All right. Any other comments from members of the committee?
Mr. Chair, just great meeting, and I just want to thank the executive director and her staff, and you, our chairperson, for doing a great job. Great job.
Thank you,
Thank
Commissioner.
Yeah, kudos to Dina too. This was one of her second RFPs that she put together. So we're working her
The
really
easy
hard.
ones, easy ones.
I'll take it, I'll take it, yes.
Well, thank you, Commissioner, for joining us, and without objection, the meeting is adjourned.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
I mean.
Good night,
Good night. Bye-bye, good night.
Good night.